Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and it's Debsy, and place to be, it's Debsy. Bloop, that's me. Boop, Debsy. Hey guys, I'm just gonna say happy birthday. Happy Tuesday. I hope everybody is having a great week. If not a great week, then at least a good week. So it is Tuesday. Last night I watched the Men Tell All, Bachelorette Men Tell All, and it was tough. I can't lie. Didn't make a ton of notes. So this morning I watched Claim to Fame. And guess what? Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise. I'm going to be covering Claim to Fame recap right now. And before I do that, let me give a shout out. This is a big shout out to one of my subscribers who comments quite a bit on my Claim to Fame recaps. He is also the same person who is responsible for me now putting the air date after the recaps. So I want to say thank you and give a huge shout out to Mike C. It's Mike CEE from Orlando. So yeah, thank you. Let's give a big hand to Mike C. from Orlando, who is the reason as to why you can now have ease of figuring out exactly, when Claim to Fame, or when The Bachelorette, or when Real Housewives of New York has aired. So thank you, Mike, and a big shout out to Mike C. from Orlando. Thank you, Mike. So let's move on to Claim to Fame. This week, there were two themes. We started off with a little bit of betrayal, and there's also a target on someone's back throughout the whole episode and last week. So we started off with a little betrayal. Betrayal in the form of Chris showing his clue, showing Gabe's clue to Carson. Listen, he showed Gabe's clue to Carson because he thought, listen, Carson is going to be gone this week anyways. I can't make heads or tails of Gabe's clue. So how about if I just show her she's going to be gone? I won't have to worry. Problem is, she's not gone. She's still there. So Chris went to Gabe, said he wants to be transparent, and told him that he had showed his clue to Carson. Just because of that reason I said, because he thought that she was going to be gone and she would take the clue with her. But listen, you were expecting Gabe to be like, what? No. Gabe knew. Gabe saw the whole thing. He was like, I saw the whole thing. You couldn't even wait. You couldn't even sleep on it. You had to just immediately go to Carson. You are a snake. If it looks like a snake, then it is a snake. He felt like he was sucker punched because they had an alliance together. Chris, and you know what? I will have to say, listen, Chris is right. It is a game. Everybody is playing a game. This isn't let's go on here and make friends. It's let's go on here and win some money. And everybody has betrayed everybody. But the thing that got to Chris was when Gabe had said, I think that you are just mad because you're getting called out and you've been pampered your whole life. Chris comes back yelling, don't you dare say that, F you, that's a terrible thing. I'm offended that you said that, because that implies that I was raised to not have a backbone. I don't know. He was raised Mormon. I don't know anything about how Mormons are raised, so that I don't know. He was offended by all of that, stormed out. Meanwhile, afterwards, Carson and JR are talking about what else? Chris's clue. The thing that they're doing, they're focusing on coat of many colors, or like a colorful coat. That's the only thing they're really looking at. They're not paying any attention to Utah. Now, there's two names that were floated out there as to who he could be related to. Billy Idol, the English Billy Idol, like the guy who's English and was born in England. And the other one was Prince. Did you catch that? because he said Prince. What about Prince? Because they were also saying a Vegas residency, and they were like Prince or Prince, who was famously, everybody knows he was born in Minnesota. He was huge. His home base was Minneapolis. It was all over the movie Purple Rain. Okay, Prince. So next they have the challenge. The challenge was celebrity trivia. There were 5 rounds, 1 winner per round. The winner of the round gets a clue. So everybody was really trying to get their own clue. This was pretty much dominated by one person, but Carson was able to get her clue. And Monet got everyone else's clues, including her own. Some of the funny things here, like they had to run around. It was kind of like musical chairs, but with trivia. They had to run around and find the right person. A couple of the funny things that came out of this was that Gwen Stefani was married to Jennifer Lopez. I thought that it was Blake Shelton, but apparently somebody thinks it was Jennifer Lopez. They probably just couldn't find somebody else, and they landed on Jennifer Lopez. Also, Owen Wilson, if you didn't know, is now a female rapper. And Tony Bennett wore a meat dress. That was what JR had picked. Monet won, and JR and Gabe are in the bottom 2. Now listen, one of the clues that Monet had gotten was Gabe's clue. And it had said that he starred with Kenan Thompson on the show All That. And she is then wondering, okay, so he was possibly lying. He was lying about being related to a football star. So this is the first little bit in her mind that she's like, he is not. So like I said, the bottom 2 are JR and Gabe. So they're going to be the ones that will be up to be the guesser. So now, guess who's holding all the cards? Monet. Monet has all of the clues. She knows something about everybody. So she is in a position of power. And Gabe is now nervous because if he's picked as the guesser, he may have to pick JR because he's certain that JR is related to Lil Nas X. A little bit later, Monet, Carson, and JR are discussing Chris's clue. Chris's clue that Monet had gotten had said that Derek Huff had worked with this celebrity who won season 9 of Dancing with the Stars. It was obviously Donny Osmond. They're throwing names around, and once again, everybody's like, Billy Idol. But it looks like JR is maybe not so positive about that. He's not 100%. So JR leaves, and Monet and Carson continue to talk, and they think that JR should be the guesser. Everybody in the house is agreeing that Chris has to go. So the target is squarely on Chris's back. But JR is still not sure who he should pick. Should he go with Carson, who he feels is more of a sure bet, or should he go with Chris? Because Chris is a big, Chris is a threat, a big threat, and he's who everybody wants out of the house. Myself, if it was me, I would probably go with the sure bet. Because if you're wrong, then you're out. Plus, Billy Idol, born in Utah, why is nobody paying attention to the fact that they said Utah? Utah, not Utah in England, Utah here. I don't understand. Now, a little bit later then, Carson and Chris are talking. Chris says that JR, he just comes in and says JR and Chris, they're talking about who's probably going to be picked to be the guesser. Carson comes up with a few points. She says that if Gabe goes up, she's afraid that he's going to guess her. Her ideal situation would be would be if he picks JR. Like if Gabe were to go up and he were to pick JR. If JR is the guesser, then he'll guess either Chris or her. He'll pick either Chris or her. Also, she says that it's really and this is off camera, she says it's in Chris's best interest to keep her there because she's really the only one that he has left, and she can keep him in her back pocket. She also says that there is a very strong loyalty between JR and Gabe, and they have that loyalty for each other. She's thinking that it might be stronger. It might be so strong that one of them would take a shot at her and take her out rather than taking one of the two of them out. But then Carson does ultimately say that she thinks it is in Gabe's best interest to have, in her best interest to have Gabe as the guesser. So Monet is talking to JR. She shows JR Gabe's clue. She says there's nothing to do with football on this. It really doesn't have anything to do with football. He's not related to a football player. JR doesn't want to hear any of this. JR is still thinking, is just still saying, he could be a football player. He could be a football player turned an actor. I think he's still a football player. Oh, and then he says, all that was one of my favorite shows. But he couldn't think of anybody who was on the show. Like, seriously, if you were to say to me, Debbie, what's your favorite show? And I'd be like, The Office. Well, I could name everybody on that show. Steve Carell, Jenna Fisher, John Krasinski, Rainn Wilson. I could name a bunch of people from it. Creed Bratton, Oscar Munoz. I could name a lot of people from it. She really can't. He really can't. I don't understand that. He can't figure out who was on that show. And then Monet says it. Monet says about Nick Cannon. And once again, it doesn't even seem to register with JR. I don't know if he's just so loyal to Gabe that he doesn't want to believe it or something. I don't know. Gabe apologizes to Chris. He basically says that he was just thinking with his heart rather than his head, and his feelings were kind of hurt that Chris did that. He also then says off camera that he just wanted to apologize because he's kind of at Chris's mercy now that he's up for being a possible guesser. Chris floats the idea out there of someone who Monet may be related to. And he says Jaleel White from Family Matters, who played Urkel. So it comes time for the guess off. The guess off, there's only 3 votes. There's only 3 people who voted. So it ends up being JR. JR picks Chris. And Chris is like, again? So gets up there and he says, I believe that your relative is Billy Idol. Now listen, I'm going to tell you what. If I got up there and I was the person that they were guessing and they said, I think your relative is Billy Idol, after it said on there that they were born in Utah, I don't know how because Chris made a good face, there was nothing, a good poker face, nothing. I would have honestly been like, are you kidding me? So, as it turns out, we all know, no, he's not related to Donnie is not related to Billy Idol. Billy Idol. So JR is out. They revealed his relative. His relative is Lil Nas X. We knew that. And everybody was like, wow. So, you know, it's his Lil Nas X is his younger brother. So he is Lil Nas X's older brother. They seem to have a very nice relationship. He sang his praise. And so JR is gone. A little bit later, you know, Chris was saying that this really seems personal now. Well, yeah, it is. Next week, it looks like Gabe is exposed. People are realizing who he's related to. Now, listen, I'm going to tell you who I think is going to be in the finals. I think the two that are going to be in the finals, I think it's going to be Chris, because listen, nobody can figure him out. That is a genius thing to do. If you're going in there and you have an older relative, because his relative is older. These are young people. Young people don't know Donny Osmond. I'm 55 years old. When I saw him on there at first, I immediately was like, he's related to Donny Osmond. He looks just like him. Look, if you don't know Donny Osmond, get a picture, look on Google. Google it too. They look alike. I mean, sure, Donny Osmond is like heavier and older, but his face, look at pictures of when he was younger. It looks just like him. So no one's gonna pick him. And I think the second one's gonna be in it is Monet, because nobody knows JB Smoove. Listen, I watch Curb Your Enthusiasm, but I don't know that I would even be able to name JB Smoove. Nobody knows him. I think that's the reason why those two are going to be on there. And people know who Carson's related to, and apparently next week people know who Gabe is related to. So that's who I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be those two. So please, in the comments, if you watched, let me know what you think. Let me know how ridiculous it was that now for the second week in a row, people were thinking that these singers, these world famous musicians who have English accents are born in Utah. I'm just saying, it doesn't make sense. Make it make sense. So let me know in the comments if you watched what you think. Who do you think is going to be in the final two? And with that being said, I'm going to skedaddle. I'm going to try and get through a little bit more of the Men Tell All for tomorrow. But if nobody told you yet today, I love you. You are loved, seen, and heard. Please make sure that you put love, kindness, compassion, acceptance, hope, and positivity out there. Please make sure to take care of one another. Stay safe, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.